What's up, ladies and gents, Noah here. Welcome to another Payday video. This is the Yakuza character pack webpage. What I'm hoping to be able to do is take a look at all the things that this DLC coming out a little later on today is going to contain. And then for those of you who are considering a purchase, either on launch or waiting for a sale or waiting for full reviews, I'm hoping this video will give you some of the information you need to make that purchase or indeed decision. So, you guys already know the Yakuza character pack. It's absolutely oozing style. From the trailer to this amazing looking webpage, the art that's coming along with it is phenomenal. So let's talk about the Yakuza, one of the most feared crime syndicates in the world. Ruled by the Ninkyo and led by the Oabun, the Yakuza are known for their strict code of conduct, organised nature and the tattoos that cover their entire bodies. An outcast and dropout from society, the Yakuza, which is talking about the character we're going to be getting, knows how it is to fend for himself. While he appears gentle, he is not to be taken lightly. So you can download this wallpaper, it's probably going to be a thumbnail, it just looks so good. This is a trailer for those of you who've not watched it. If you haven't, please either watch my trailer review video, or, as I accidentally cover the game section up there, or what you could do is take a look at the full trailer, and that's probably what I'd recommend first and foremost, because it's wonderful. In his youth, Jiro was never accepted until he found his way into the Yakuza. Yet even here, despite his loyalty and ability, he was never fully embraced and was ultimately betrayed. Following a lengthy prison term, Jiro has come to America to find his long-lost son Kento. I love the story that surrounds the character. I love that there is story. Admittedly, Sokol had some backstory as a hockey player. But beyond that, what do we really know? This, on the other hand, is story that I think Overkill may choose to follow up. And that I am excited about. So here's Jiro's mask. Japan is a land of tradition, a land of warriors. Jiro's mask reflects this. The mask expresses Jiro's love for a traditional Japan, while the barred snare represents his unshakable determination. One of the nicest looking character masks in the game, I would say. Character masks tend to be simple in the sort of style and shape, whereas this one has a little bit more complexity to it, which I really, really like. As you can see, the price is, as ever, going to be $5 for the character pack coming out a little later today, August the 27th. Now let's talk about the weapon we're getting, the Micro Uzi. Now within the game, we already actually have the Uzi. It came, if I remember, with Hotline Miami. Now we can take a look at this weapon's stats. Mag size of 32, total ammo of 128, so 4 mags. The rate of fire is 1,200, damage 25, accuracy 6, stability 8, concealment 29, and finally threat at 10. Now, these stats are very telling, because these are just the base stats of the weapon. You'll notice the accuracy and stability are crazy low, but the concealment is very high. The reason for this is it's a bare bones weapon. However, attachments in the game will allow you to modify this to make it a more stable and accurate weapon, but it's going to cost you the concealment. So it's a nice sort of versatile weapon with different options. What I think is quite an important thing to do at this point is actually to compare it with some of the in-game weapons we've already got. It's got a better mag size than the standard Uzi. Slightly higher total ammo, a better, much better rate of fire. Its damage, it loses 3 points, which isn't too bad to be honest, considering the rate of fire, so it actually has much higher DPS. But then accuracy and stability are a massive drop. We've already talked about that being a bare bones weapon. However, concealment, much, much better, meaning, like I said, this weapon's very versatile, can be used for all sorts of things, most notably in silent killer builds, in crit builds, and in dodge builds. So that's what I'm looking forward to with the Micro Uzi. It's definitely going to be one of the top 5 SMGs. If we take a look at another similar weapon that was released very recently, the Chris Vector submachine gun, you have a slightly higher mag size, only by 2. Very similar total ammo, only the difference of the mag size. Exactly the same rate of fire, but a slightly higher damage. So the Vector's DPS is going to be better, as is its accuracy and stability. It does, however, fall down on concealment, so it can't be used in those aforementioned builds. So while it's not going to be able to compete with the Vector purely as an SMG, it may compete as an SMG in certain builds, which is what we like to see. It's good balance. The Micro Uzi's not going to set anything off. It's just an SMG at the end of the day. These weapons tend to be pretty average at best, and mainly designed to fit into particular builds. But this Micro Uzi looks like it's going to stand up, and hopefully it feels really good. That's always what's most important for me when it comes to picking up a weapon. So operating on the streets of Osaka, where being a Yakuza was a way of life, it was necessary to be both inconspicuous and pack ferocious firepower. The Micro Uzi delivers that, which is exactly what it does, because if you take a look at another concealment-based SMG, like the Cobra, or the Scorpion as it's known, it's got 7 less points of base damage. So that's what you're looking at. Very high concealment and not bad damage considering. So like I said, you've got some interesting mods like the unfolded stock taken away from the concealment. Same with the custom barrel. Less concealment but much better stability and accuracy, making this a more even and rounded weapon. And here we have the Futamaki Suppressor, which gives loads of stability, takes quite a bit of concealment, but a workable amount of concealment, putting you at 25, which is all you need for some concealment builds. And it means that it's a perfect silent killer weapon because you lost no points of damage. So that is the Micro Uzi. Next up, we have the melee weapon, the Shinsakuto Katana, which is awesome. We knew a katana would come at some point, and I'm really glad it came with this particular character. The katana is a masterpiece, but also freshly forged. It's not tasted blood and has no real heritage or history, which is interesting. It is simply waiting for a wielder with which to create that. I expect great things about the katana. We've wanted a katana as a melee weapon for ages. It's a very different melee. Probably not going to have a load of knockdown, but I'm hoping for high damage. And I really can't wait to use this weapon alongside the perk deck, which we're about to talk about right now. Alright, so the Yakuza perk deck, what I initially thought was going to be a damage-based perk deck, has surprised me, and instead they've gone with a very different theming. The true nature of a Yakuza is to flourish when all seems lost. The brink of defeat is merely an excuse to laugh in the face of death, and to find an inner strength to survive and thrive, and that is the whole purpose of this perk deck. A skill already within the game is the Berserker skill. When you're below 25% health, you're going to get a certain amount of increased damage with range weapons up to 100% increased damage, and with melee weapons and the sword up to 250 increased damage. A similar principle is going to apply here, and I recommend if you're running this perk deck, it's very niche and it's sort of designed around this, always bring Berserker along with you. All the skills are named after animals or mythological beings within Japanese culture. We have the Koi Irizumi, which will basically explain the standard pattern for what these are going to all be like. The lower your health, the more armor you recover. Now, that's a pretty interesting concept. It's risk versus reward. You guys might know in the Dark Souls games, you have the red tier stone ring, where you do more damage the lower your health is. Think about that sort of concept. When you're below 25%, you get straight up 20% additional armor recovery rate. Same thing with the Tora Irizumi and the Ryu Irizumi, meaning you get up to 60% additional recovery rate. That can stack with Bulletproof, I believe, in the Technician skill tree, giving you almost 100% faster regen rate, doubling the regen. Pretty awesome. I do like that all of these have been named after the beings. The Koi, of course, the famous koi fish from Japan. The Hebi is a snake. Tora is a tiger. Ryu is a dragon. And Oni being some form of sort of devil. Awesome naming. The Hebi Irizumi is the only slightly different one. Again, when you're below 25% health, you're going to get 10% additional movement speed, which is good, which allows you to run higher armor sets and also maintain a little bit of movement speed and mobility. I like it conceptually. Finally, the Oni Irizumi is going to allow all the Berserker effects within the perk deck, all the ones we've just mentioned, to proc at 50% instead of 25%, making you much safer. Here's what I would love this perk deck to do. I would love them to recognize that it's based around the Berserker skill in the Enforcer skill tree, and somehow be involved with that skill. What I would love to have seen was for the Berserker skill to actually pop at 50% as well, meaning that when you got down to 25% health, you had all of the Berserker privileges. Instead, you're going to run this skill tree, or perk deck I should say, with a sort of skill tree based around Berserker. You're going to get this crazy fast regen, you're going to keep yourself alive on low health, but you're going to be on Death Wish difficulty, and you're going to get 2-shot. And you'll be like, why have I got this perk deck on? That's how I feel it's going to be. I just don't feel I could ever recommend this particular character pack based off the perk deck, whereas others such as Sokol, I could do that exclusively. I think it's going to be a load of fun, but I just don't think it's going to give you an advantage in-game in any way, shape or form, and that brings back the old question, should it? Should it be able to? Shouldn't a perk deck like this, that you have to pay for so it's exclusive in one way or another, shouldn't it just be a different way to play as opposed to a better one? I just worry that not only is this going to be a different way to play, it's just not going to be viable up there on Death Wish, and it may be weaker than lots of other perk decks on Overkill. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's really up there with the top tier perk decks, and I hope the regeneration works out really nicely, especially if you pick up Bulletproof over in the Technician skill tree. But I just would have loved a little bit more interaction with Berserker. To me, what makes low health builds great is Berserker. It's the idea at low health you get to do crazy high damage. The problem with this is, at low health, you get more health. Of course, it's a different health bar, because in Payday you have your armor and then you have your health, but that just seems like a reasonably useless trade-off, and it's not always that easy to keep yourself low on the health bar. But I really look forward to trying it out, and I do love the thematic way it's been set up, and I think it's so in tune with the rest of this DLC, which is going to be a pleasure to play. I really look forward to playing it myself, getting this character. But value for money wise, that's going to be up to you. How do you value the absolutely wonderful voice acting as opposed to actual in-game privileges and improvements and buffs? The reason why Sokol was so popular was because his perk deck was so strong. This perk deck, as I said, is going to be loads of fun, but may not be nearly as strong. Got to be up to you guys. At the end of the day, should you wait for a sale? Should you buy it now? We'll find out. I'm going to be in the first wave of people buying it, of course, and there's going to be a review coming out later on, at least my initial impressions once I've finally picked up this perk deck and this character pack. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I will see you all in the next one.